I'm Timo Weiland, and I'm thrilled to be here with one of my favorite people, human beings, surfers, mothers, designer, entrepreneur, inventor, you name it. The gloriously beautiful Cynthia Rowley. This is Eyecons with Zenni, a series where we feature some of our favorite people, very visionary, successful entrepreneurs. And really the meaning of success means so many different things to everyone. It's a very individual thing, as well as the term iconic. And that,
EYE.
EYE, iconic.
Okay.
EYE con.
I came from from a lack of fashion awareness background, like nothing, like no, not even one bit of information about anything that was happening in fashion. Mm-hmm. And I started sewing when I was really little, like 7, and started making things. And I would go to the fabric store and hang out reading the pattern books. Wow. And looking at the pattern
like
books.
Vogue patterns.
Yeah,
I used to have that book too.
Vogue, Simplicity, Butterick. I actually have the Cynthia Rowley Simplicity home sewing patterns now.
Wow.
For a long time. I've been doing it. So full circle. But yeah, and get thrown out for loitering in the fabric store and stuff. And it just was like, that was my only connection in a very tiny little small town in Illinois. And
so Midwestern upbringing.
Yeah. And, but my parents encouraged creativity. My dad as a science teacher was kind of like Mr. Wizard, or kind of like a little kooky like that. Always kind of like rigging things up and sort of inventive in his own way. And then, my mom went to art school. Her parents are both artists. So like, it was a kind of unconventional upbringing. And then I just assumed I would go to art school, which I did.
I always look at you as someone, multi-hyphenate, doing so many amazing, and I think, backing up a bit, how did you, land on a career in fashion from art
that's
school?
Funny, because when you say multi-hyphenate, it's because I never really wanted to be a fashion designer. It was never like fashion, you know what I mean? So that's why, like, yes, I love fashion. Yes, I love making clothes, but I don't think about what I do as like a fashion designer. I think about it as a creator.
Yeah.
And so in that world, then I'm able to do clothes. And if I love surfing, do wetsuits. If I love surfing, do a surfboard. If I love roller skating, I wish I was better, but to make some roller skates and try not to kill yourself. And, we're making some snowboarding stuff.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. You snowboard, don't you?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well,
we have
I
to time
ski better. I swear a lot when I snowboard, which I try not to do, like around my
families and your family.
But I just think like there was never an agenda of fashion. It was only an agenda of like have an idea and try to make it a reality. Yeah. And whatever that process is, to me, the process is way more exciting sometimes than even the finished thing. Like sometimes when the finished product, you get it, you have like that moment of like, this is amazing. Oh my God.
So stoked.
And then you're like, okay, now what do we do? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't last. Like that series of like challenge, discovery, challenge, solution, like, oh, maybe this is not going to work. And then, like all that like little path that we get to take as creative people.
Creators.
The journey is, like they say, sometimes better than the destination.
Being in a studio environment with your team and arriving after this incredible kind of process or journey. Like, sometimes like the process actually really is the memory. It's like what really carries the whole thing. And like speaking, of that, just how has your creating a business, how has your approach to business and brand building evolved over time?
Okay, well, I love talking about this because on May 13th, May 15th, whatever, I was like, okay, that was a nice career you had, Cynthia. The world is ending, and, let's just go to Montauk and start. And then I'm not good at relaxing. And by March 20th, I was like, get your shit together, Cynthia, and let's do this, and let's turn this ship around. And we pivoted the whole company. We invested in our marketing. We built our e-com. We changed, our supply chain was intact, so we changed our calendar. We said we're only going to work 3 months out. We're going to listen to our audience because, this at that time, like things were like changing day to day.
The immediate feedback loop.
Yeah.
The immediate, and I like how you highlighted, how this year has been really like evolving in a much more direct, like hands-on approach, like, just kind of, and not just D2C, because I think like, it's an important thing to focus on, but you have this really, robust kind of all the pieces of the pie come together.
I mean, my whole thing about is like, never believe the good reviews, never believe the bad reviews, and everything is cumulative. So that your successes, your failures, and everything that you create, like, is cumulative. Like, people don't have a sense necessarily of like when they saw something that they remembered and loved, but they'll remember that, and then hopefully that happens again, and that layers on a new, evolved thing that they love, that they remember. And so all those layers, I think, are what create a brand and what create like a connection with the with the customer, the audience, and the authenticity of a brand too. It's like that cumulative package. Oh my God.
You guys have really,
I'm like, motherhood.
and actually that's a great jumping off point to, the Ageless Podcast.
What are we even talking
I love it.
I forgot what we were talking about because we've had 8 million interruptions.
But that's the way that it really is, I think, in life and in business. There are things, and also just especially in the business that we're in, it's like you have to really be able to like
roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches. You have to be able to like, it's almost like sailing, like being on a sailboat or being like kind of looking at the conditions of a surf break. Like you gotta like, you gotta like move this way, you gotta go that way, you gotta like that, pick your wave, like not kind of like cut anyone off. Right? Yeah. Like that's, especially like real, even someone more local than you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I love how, and Shredding with Heels is one of my favorite campaigns that you have ever, there's been amazing campaigns and shows, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But how has, really building the Ageless Podcast and working with your daughter Kit changed your perspective on the business and the brand?
I mean, I just think I think the whole thing is like to be curious all the time, forever and ever, and keep, evolving and reimagining and reinventing yourself. And just like, I'm so excited about like what's happening right now, what we have coming up, but that's endless. That has to be endless.
Yeah.
And in order to have that and stay like that, like you have to keep thinking like, what's my next, what are we going to do next? How can we make this better? How can we make this special and different and brand right? And, like all those things. And I think that then just organically keeps you relevant. Okay. And definitely with the help of my little kitty boo, she definitely inspires me every day, and hopefully I support and inspire her. And so then together, we just thought it was a funny idea that I'm the one that's like, come on, cancel your tutor. The waves are so good. Let's go. Gigi, come on. You don't have to go to school on Friday. Like Or I'm like really out at something and Kit is squeezing my arm so tight, which means like, let's go, but without saying it.
Yeah.
She just squeezes like this.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, she is just dragging me out of here. You know, I'm having so much fun. It's
almost like a role reversal. Backing up to something you said before of just being like always evolving, always pushing the envelope. Do you think that is a transcendent characteristic of anything or anyone iconic? Like, what do you think makes an icon?
I think sometimes I get insulted if people call me an icon because it makes me feel old. I'm like, wait, I don't want to be an icon. I just want to be like, you know, somebody cool and, you know, but no, I guess it's when there's like a recognizable visual, like vocabulary that you associate with that person.
Yeah.
So like when there's a certain point, well, it doesn't, in some cases visual, in the case of Madonna or somebody like that, it's, you know, the music, but also the visuals. But I guess when there's a vocabulary or like some kind of original content that is associated with that person specifically.
Like an adjective. You become an adjective. Like, that's very Madonna. Like, that's
I mean, that's a different level.
Keith Richards. That's
very like icon, and then there's an adjective.
Yeah.
That's totally, I don't know
so
how
to make
you
it
reach
ageless,
that.
To make it ageless, to bring it back, you know, we could say, I'm confident in saying this, that's very Kit Keenan, that's very Billie Eilish, that's very Cynthia Rowley. Like that, it doesn't really have to do with being any age. It's
sometimes we say, yeah, that's very CR.
Very CR. I like saying that's a little more concise. Yeah. We're all about
very
you know, getting out to the break, getting like, you know, when can we pedal out next? Do you think that does an icon know that they're an icon or even believe it?
I think to myself, like, I have no confidence, but like I think to myself, like, cool, I'm like, this is really starting to catch on now, this fashion thing. Like, that's how I think about what I do. I don't think like, darling, I've made it, you know, like, excuse me, don't you know who I am? Like, it's not, it's like, I'm like, sick. People like this stuff. Like, when people say like, I own a bunch of your stuff, I'm like, thank you so much. I'm like,
show me pics. show me on your iPhone.
I say it all the time.
Show me on your Instagram.
Yeah.
No, it's such a, I mean, I love that. And I love that answer. And I think, you know, along those lines, you know, just, I think once someone gets that cockiness of just like, I've made it, or this, like, oh, I'm so successful, you know, then that's kind of like the moment that things either, you know, sometimes or a lot of times do this. And I like how you said earlier that like the process, the journey, the building,
the hard work,
yep,
like
showing up.
I'm a hustler, I'm scrappy, I'll do anything, I'll like, you know, I'm like, you know, it's just like, I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. And if you don't have that, or you somehow lose that, or like lose sight of that aspect of it, that's when I think things start to go south a little.
Stagnant. It's either stagnant or
just like you just can't ever think like, well, that's not my job. Well, excuse me, why am I, you know, I don't know.
If you don't know how to turn on the coffee machine or you know, that sort of thing, I agree with you. I think it's kind of, it's a real, I don't know, you've got to be able to wear a lot of hats. I think in this, and also, you know, remain inspired, remain creative. And that can be really a challenge, you know. Is that,
that's the easy part, I think. The ideas are the easy part. The execution can be the challenge. I feel like I'm so lucky to be able to like have an idea, have a way to communicate that so that it can actually become a reality. I feel so lucky that of course I'm willing to do whatever it takes, all the dirty work that goes along with that, so that you can have that, that process, that
Definitely.
enlightenment, that manifestation of your ideas. That's it.
One thing when you and I first kind of, I found it so just inspiring, just as a budding founder, that you didn't stop with, sketching or making prints or making garments, anything with fashion or art or as a creator. It was also the patents and the inventions and all of that. And I'd love to hear how that has kind of informed your thought process.
That's probably my dad's science teacher.
That makes total
stuff
sense.
Coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that might be part of it, but like, it's just, it's kind of all the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do I have an idea? I think the whole thing about, like, the way I think about fashion and functionality, and that blend of fashion and function is really like that's the pinnacle of design, when those two things can come together. And so I think it's natural to think, like, why hasn't this been done? What if it was like this? Wouldn't it be great if there was how about if we, like, that's the kind of, like,
Those questions.
Discovery that I think ends up with a patent.
Definitely.
Or something.
And
Or just a good idea.
Yeah, you and I both, there were some ideas around having a flask somewhere.
My flask bangle.
Yeah, do we have any of those?
Oh yeah, they're
I think I see one over there.
Yeah. So I was,
really cool.
I would always joke, like, at like the kids' parent teacher conferences or like the school play. I'd be like with my friends, being like, "Too bad we don't have our flask bangles here," And then one day I was like, "Hey, wait a second! I could make a flask bangle."
Yeah.
And this is actually like years ago. And so we made it, and I sent it into the U.S. Patent Office and got a patent on it.
Lo and behold.
Now there's a lot of flask bangles out there, but actually I have the patent.
I love it. What is your personal definition of iconic?
Personally?
Maybe it'll help. Like, is there someone that you consider living or not living that is an icon?
I think a lot of it is that identifiable thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like Iris.
Very much.
I love Iris's glasses
Yes.
that I'm wearing right now. But Iris, it's her
The
glasses.
centennial, 100 years of
100
Iris.
years. It's so cool
It's
that you
amazing.
guys are working with her, and like, she's an amazing person. Amazing.
She would definitely, Iris would
She
wear
would love
this.
with like bangles.
Yes,
Maybe a
all
flask
the
in
way up.
between there.
All the way up.
Bangles and her big glasses, and that's like that feels iconic. I feel like Billie Eilish has her hair,
Yes.
and do you have to be a certain age to be
No.
an icon?
Ageless.
Ageless. See, that's the key right there.
Yeah.
If you can be like in your 20s and be an icon, then everybody would want, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I only, kind of like prickle a little because I feel like it makes me seem old, but that seems like
It doesn't.
like my own problem, right?
It's always in our own heads, It's really the ageless thing. I think I love the term, and I don't think I ever really heard. I heard timeless. I heard all of these other, but ageless around the title of your pod. Like that's the term that I use now.
Well, because it's like, I actually was thinking about on social media, if you Google anyone, you can find out, how old they are. I mean, not everyone, but like somebody who's an icon,
Yeah.
you know how old they are. But on social media, it's ageless. Like nobody says, we don't know how old anybody is.
Mhm.
Nobody ever.
No one puts their age in
Never.
their
Never.
profile.
And it's not about that. On social, it's about, you and your lifestyle and your friends and, what you love to do. And age is not an issue. Age is not a thing. And
So
I think that's what I started thinking, like, why do we always have to be identified as blank and blank years old?
mhm.
It sucks.
It's so true. And I love how, your partner, Bill, was TikTok dancing just as cool as some like Gen Z. There was no difference from like his dance moves in Montauk to, Gen Z TikTok star. It's
Slow walker.
It flew, slow walking through, a place that we both will hopefully be at later this weekend.
Yeah.
Out east, Eyecons out east. Hopefully
Oh.
someday we were doing that. I love, and this is something I wanted to, bring up. It's just, it's thrilling to, have Iris in the fold with us. It's been such a awesome.
I mean, that's the definition
Incredible.
of ageless,
Incredible.
right there.
Ageless, and to have the Iris Zenni really recently launched around her 100th birthday. Amazing. Happy birthday, Iris.
Happy birthday!
Woo!
I did a little post for her
Yes.
birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
She's really but also to have, that live with the Cynthia Rowley Zenni partnership. And then also
It's like all so many different
great partners.
Mm-hmm. And it spans a big age range, but you don't think of it like that.
At all.
Except for Iris 100. I mean,
We
that's
have to celebrate that.
Don't count, celebrate. That's what somebody told me on my last birthday. Also, somebody said on my 50th birthday, they said, it's like you're on the roller coaster, you reach the top of the roller coaster, and all you can do is put your arms up and scream.
Yes.
So, and I'm like,
love
okay,
that.
I got it. That's what I'm doing.
I love that. Wait, let's do that right now. And I love roller coasters, and I have since I was such a kid. Like it would still feel, I act like a kid. I feel like we both do. We are kids.
Totally. That's the
and
biggest compliment I think you can give to
Yes.
someone is when they act like a child.
yeah, it's
I was saying about when I first started dating Bill, I was telling someone, and I was like, he's kind of childlike. They were like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, no, that's amazing.
It's so great. It's so much more fun. It's so much
Way
more
more
fun.
fun.
And when it stops being fun, I think that's when, it's really like the step back is important. Cynthia, thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for being such a major, really like just thriving, living, breathing, like life-giving part of the Zenni family.
Oh,
And also part of my
Zenni has been
chosen
so
family.
good to me. I just love the partnership. I love what we do together. I think it's fun and spontaneous and cool and accessible, and I just love all of that, and I'm very grateful.
We are so grateful to have you. We are thrilled. Check out the Zenni Cynthia Rowley collection online, as well as the new Iris Apfel Centennial 100th birthday collection that Cynthia's wearing right now.
Love
Looking
these.
iconic.
I love these.
And then also the Timo Zenni collection, all three of us. It's the chosen family that we've created. High five. Oh, and roller coaster. Woo!